At my welcome home dinner, I pushed open the door to the private dining room and saw Victoria Fairchild sitting in a young man's lap. His bright eyes met my scrutinizing gaze before quickly looking down, but one of his hands remained hooked around Victoria's neck. "My queen, is this the god among men you were telling me about?" The man time forgot. "Big guy, even your wrinkles are so distinguished." The moment he finished, the room fell silent. I was the one to break the silence. "So, Victoria, you're not exactly young anymore. Still playing around with boy toys?" Chapter 1. I walked straight to my seat. The young man immediately shot back, "How can you compare? My queen is mature, and besides, I'm not some boy toy. What we have is real," I scoffed, sitting down across from Victoria as our friends quickly tried to smooth things over. "Sincere's finally back. Let's get the food started. I heard you absolutely killed it overseas, Sincere, landing that price group contract." "Incredible." The atmosphere was just starting to warm up when the young man spoke again. "You're amazing, big guy. Not like me, I'm so sheltered. I've never even been out of the country. I hear that business powerhouses who dominate the negotiating table all have their own special methods. Your methods must be brilliant." As he spoke, he leaned into Victoria's arms with a sigh. "Not like me, I'm so clumsy. I even lost one of your clients before." At that, everyone in the room exchanged glances, their eyes darting between Victoria and me. I frowned. "What client?" While I was abroad, my assistant mentioned that one of Victoria's long-term clients had abruptly terminated their contract. I was too busy with my own deal to ask for details at the time. Only now did I feel a sense of alarm. Victoria held his hand and looked at me. "It was just an old client. It's not a big deal. Sincere, Ethan is just a newcomer. Don't mind him." With that, she stroked Ethan Miller's hair, then rose and put her hands on his shoulders. "Want to see the world? That's easy. I'll take you abroad. We can leave right now." Ignoring the look on my face, Victoria pulled Ethan toward the door. His eyes were filled with excitement, but when he glanced at me, there was a flicker of provocation on his face. "Forget it, my queen. Big guy will get angry." "He won't be angry," I cut in, looking straight at Victoria. "We're getting a divorce. You can play with him for as long as you want, wherever you want." Victoria let out a short laugh. "Sincere, playing hard to get really doesn't suit you. Divorce me and you walk away with nothing. Are you willing to do that?" She snorted and pulled Ethan out of the room. Seeing this, the others all made their excuses and left as well. The welcome home dinner I had arranged was suddenly empty. I looked at the dishes on the table, picked up my chopsticks, and ate one bite after another. I kept eating until my stomach churned with acid. I clutched my abdomen and rushed to the restroom to throw up. When I looked up at my reflection in the mirror, I took out my phone and contacted my lawyer, telling him to draft the divorce papers. When Victoria and I got married, her mother, Eleanor, looked down on my humble background and made me sign a prenuptial agreement. If we divorced, I would leave with nothing. How ridiculous. Did Victoria really think I married her for her money? She was the one who proposed to me. I married her, but never for that. So Victoria's attempt to threaten me with money was a mistake from the very beginning. I walked out of the private room. A blast of cold air made my head spin, but I forced myself to head to our villa. I hadn't been back in 3 months, and the house was filled with things that didn't belong to me. Cartoon-themed dishes in the kitchen, twee floral curtains, every new item screamed of the owner's tacky taste. The housekeeper, Mrs. Davis, saw me and was visibly flustered. "Sir, you're back, yes." I headed straight upstairs, but Mrs. Davis stopped me, hesitant. "Sir." I turned to look at her. After a few seconds of indecision, she spoke. "Ma'am, she's had that gentleman stay in the master bedroom." The world spun, and for a moment I thought I would collapse. After I steadied myself, I rushed into the master bedroom and gasped. The minimalist style was completely gone. His clothes were hanging brazenly in my closet. Everything that belonged to me had vanished. No wonder he was so bold. He had already made himself at home. I slipped off my wedding ring and gathered my things. There wasn't much to take. I sent the divorce agreement to Victoria's phone and walked out, dragging my suitcase behind me. Chapter 2. For 5 days, Victoria didn't reply. Finally, I couldn't wait any longer and sought her out myself. With the price group contract signed, my own company's business had stabilized. It was time to negotiate with her, but first I made a trip to the hospital. Victoria and I had been married for 5 years without children. We both had annual checkups. The results were always disappointing. Victoria had fertility issues. No amount of effort on my part would have changed that. Out of consideration for her fragile ego, I never brought it up, and she never mentioned it, always claiming everything was fine. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, who already had plenty of complaints about me, used this issue to give me endless grief. This time, the results were staggering. Victoria was cured. Half an hour later, I was sitting on a bench outside the hospital, the doctor's words echoing in my ears. Miss Fairchild's condition was fully resolved about 6 months ago. A month ago, she and a young man had a full preconception checkup. You must be her assistant, right? I imagine they'll have good news very soon. A wave of nausea washed over me. Victoria had been hiding her desire for a child from me, not because I couldn't have one for 5 years. She let Eleanor mock and belittle me. She got herself treated, never told me, and instead found someone else. It was clear my decision to leave her was the right one. I crumpled the test results into a ball and threw them in the trash. Then, I dressed impeccably and headed to her company. As I approached the office area, I could hear laughter. Someone even mentioned my name. I slowed my pace and listened. Wow, Miss Fairchild really spoils you. A trip to the Swiss Alps and now this expensive watch. Not even Sincere got gifts like this. Really, I wouldn't know. All I know is, my queen said I deserve the best, and she'll give me anything I want. Ethan Miller was stroking a diamond-encrusted watch on his wrist, a smug smile playing on his lips. Everyone around him was fawning over him. He must have been having the time of his life these past few months while I was away. The crowd was so engrossed in him that no one noticed I had walked in. It wasn't until I was standing right in front of him that Ethan's expression turned anxious. Then, as if remembering something, he smirked. "Big guy, you're here. Look what my queen got me." "Nice, huh?" He held up his wrist, showing off the watch. I raised an eyebrow. "It's nice. I saw this model when I was abroad. It's worth around 300,000. But you'll need to give me 150,000. "What do you mean? You're the other man and you're spending our marital assets. That money needs to be paid back. You seem to have forgotten, big guy. You signed a prenup. So this doesn't count as marital assets." He looked at me with a smug grin. I gave a non-committal shrug. "You're right, thanks for the reminder. It doesn't count as marital assets, but what?" He raised an eyebrow at me. "Come on, champ, drop the act. My queen said she's done with an old man like you. 5 years of marriage and you couldn't even give her a child. She's been sick of you for a long time," she said. "Seeing your forehead lines every day was making her want to puke. I'm different. I can give her—" I slapped him across the face hard enough to make one side of it swell up. "You can give her a lot, but you can never replace me. Tell Victoria I'm waiting for her in the conference room. If she's not here in 10 minutes, I'll leak her company's entire client database." If I was going down, I was taking her with me. Chapter 3. Hearing my threat, her assistant scrambled to find Victoria. I shot Ethan a contemptuous glance and walked straight to the conference room. I could hear his shrill curses behind me, but no one dared to pay him any mind. I had just stepped inside when Victoria walked in, her face dark. "What is the meaning of this? Ethan is young. It was just a watch. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? It means nothing. Victoria, until we are completely done, you'd better keep him far away from me. If he ever parades himself in front of me again, don't blame me for what happens next." I slapped the divorce agreement down on the table. "Sign it, or I go public. I doubt even you can withstand the fallout when news of a high-level executive's divorce gets out." Victoria actually laughed at that, sitting down across from me. Sincere, trying to get my attention this way is just pathetic. I tapped the table. "I'm not a patient man. Just sign." Just then, Ethan appeared at the doorway and tentatively walked in. "My queen, it's all my fault. I'm the one causing you to get a divorce." "I'm sorry, big guy, I'll leave. I'll never show my face in front of you two again." With a wounded expression, he turned to leave. Victoria's face darkened, and she stood up to chase after him. I grabbed her arm. "Victoria, sign it, or I'll immediately expose him as the homewrecker he is. You know that in this day and age, I may not be on your level, but you've made plenty of enemies." Victoria gritted her teeth. From outside, someone cried out, "Ethan!" It was followed by a scream. Ethan fell down the stairs. Victoria wrenched her hand from my grasp and ran out. Her little lover had fallen down the stairs and was clutching his leg, his face contorted in pain. Victoria rushed to help him up. Everyone could see how anxious and concerned she was for him. "My queen, just let me go. They're all calling me a homewrecker." "Who dares? You are not a homewrecker. You're the man I love." Leaning against the conference room doorway, I held up my phone, recording the deeply emotional scene. I couldn't help but sneer. What a picture of true love. I wonder how much Fairchild Corp's stock will drop when I sell this video. Victoria hissed through her teeth. Sincere, no need to shout. I can hear you. Sign it or prepare for your reputation to be ruined. You might be able to ride this out from on high, but I doubt his life will be so easy. I hear he's a student at T University. What a coincidence, so am I. I stared at Victoria. She knew me. I settle every score. Once I get serious, I'll fight to the bitter end and tear a pound of flesh from her. As for Ethan, his fate would likely be much worse. Ethan's face was pale. Big guy. Don't call me that. I'm an only child, and my family doesn't raise homewreckers. Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes. My queen, just let me go. I'll leave. I'll just leave. What an act. Could Victoria not see through it? Of course she knew Ethan was doing it on purpose. She just chose to ignore it. I tossed the agreement at her and pulled out my phone again. If you don't sign, I'll send this to everyone, right now. Gritting her teeth, she signed her name, then threw the pen at me with such force that ink splattered across my shirt like a black flower. Victoria raged, keep it up. Sincere, just keep pushing it without a word. I took the divorce agreement and left without looking back. Victoria Fairchild, we are done. Chapter 4. Afterward, I went back to my own company. Over the years, I had put in a tremendous amount of effort to stand on the same level as Victoria. I gritted my teeth and built my small company up from nothing, bit by bit. I can't deny that I leveraged the Fairchild name's influence, but only a fool wouldn't take advantage of an opportunity. Since I didn't care about her money, it was only natural that I would care about her connections. Years of hard work had finally started to pay off. Victoria thought threatening me with leaving with nothing was just me playing hard to get. The truth was, I was just tired. I really didn't want to go on like this with her anymore. In our second year of marriage, she found a new flame. I made a scene, and Victoria came back to the family. After I discovered another one after that, I stopped caring. It was just a fling, nothing serious. But it had been 5 years, and she was growing more and more attached to her new conquests. This time, she had crossed my final line. The thought of her wanting to have a child with another man was something I could never tolerate. People had seen my dedication over the years, so they showed me a certain degree of respect. I didn't hide the news of my divorce. I informed my clients and my company immediately. I wanted everyone to know that I was divorced, that all interests were clearly divided, and that from now on, I would no longer be influenced by Victoria Fairchild, and I certainly wouldn't be showing her any mercy. The first person to come looking for me was Leo Morgan. Seeing that I was my usual self, he raised an eyebrow. I thought you'd be heartbroken. You look pretty good, though. Of course, it's not a life or death tragedy. No need to be dramatic. Leo breathed a sigh of relief. Good. I heard you got the Price Group contract back. Victoria doesn't know, does she? How about a partnership? Many people wanted a piece of the pie, but Leo was undoubtedly the most suitable partner. I thought for a moment and handed him an agreement. Leo's eyes widened. Sincere, you're unbelievable. If Victoria knew you'd secretly acquired so many of her shares, she'd probably lose her mind. You want to partner up? These are my terms. Help me liquidate them. Contact your people. Without hesitation, Leo signed. I had originally planned to share the Price Group contract with Victoria, but she chose Ethan. There was still a month left in the divorce cooling-off period, and during that time I was incredibly busy. Victoria didn't call once, but that didn't stop Ethan from making a scene online. He was flaunting their relationship on Instagram. Finally got rid of the old man chasing my true love. And my dream came true. My queen and I watched a meteor shower together tonight. She hugged me from behind and said I was the wish she made. Heaven sent me to her to be her savior. Check out the villa my queen bought me. I sold all the old man stuff on a second-hand app. He was completely unrestrained, oblivious to the trouble he was causing for Victoria. Ethan was ecstatic. He had been pursuing Victoria for 3 months, and in just 3 months he had successfully landed a rich woman. Seeing how much Victoria cared about him now only fueled his excitement. For 2 weeks I didn't return to the villa. He cautiously watched Victoria's expression and hugged her. My queen, I must have upset the big guy. He hasn't come back at all. Maybe I should move out. Victoria tapped him on the head. Silly boy, who said you have to leave? As long as I'm here, no one can kick you out. Just stay here and don't worry. Chapter 5. Victoria stared at her phone. For 2 weeks I hadn't sent her a single message or made a single call. She initially thought I was just angry and giving her the silent treatment. Her friends all said you can't spoil a man, and that I was no exception. A man in his mid-30s, acting all jealous like a young boy. Victoria thought for a moment and decided to call me. The first thing she said when I answered was sincere. Have you come to your senses? You've been sulking long enough. Aren't you coming back? I just chuckled. Don't be impatient. We'll see each other in another 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yes. Once the cooling-off period is over, I'll naturally see you. Victoria was furious. Sincere, are you really going to divorce me? It was just one man, everyone in our circle does it. Why can't you just accept it? So, I can play around with women too then. I'll find a young model tonight and give it a try. You wouldn't dare, Victoria. Don't be such a hypocrite. You've been playing a role for so long you've started to believe it yourself. See you at the courthouse in 2 weeks. If you don't show up, I have plenty of ways to make you. Victoria was stunned. She stared at her phone screen. I had already hung up. She was seething. She slammed her phone down, shattering it. Sincere, you've got guts. She turned her head and saw Ethan in the distance, cheerfully picking flowers. Her pupils suddenly constricted, and she rushed outside. What are you doing? Ethan froze, then held up the camellias in his hand. I saw the camellias were beautiful, so I picked them to put in a vase. Who told you you could pick them? Her voice rose sharply, startling Ethan. He stammered, My queen, I just thought they looked pretty. She looked around and realized that in just 2 weeks of not paying attention, the garden had been completely transformed. Half of the camellias I had planted were gone. Her favorite fruit trees and the small vegetable patch had also been destroyed. Ethan followed her gaze, still unaware of the rage boiling just beneath her surface. He laughed mockingly. Who plants vegetables at a villa? So I had it all ripped out. My queen, I'm going to plant champagne roses here, and lilies over there. I also want to... Before he could finish, Victoria's hand was around his neck, squeezing. Who gave you permission to touch my garden? Ethan's face turned red. But you said I could decorate it however I wanted. I said you could decorate, not that you could tear everything out, not that you could do whatever you damn well pleased. You're not worthy. Ethan's face was filled with hurt. In the past, Victoria would have felt a pang of sympathy, but now she was unmoved. What are you all doing? Why didn't you stop him? She roared, turning on the household staff. The group of them stood there, trembling. It was Mr. Miller. You said he could do as he pleased. It was all torn out 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, right after she signed the divorce agreement. She had been busy with work since then and hadn't noticed when her backyard had become this wasteland. My queen, I'm sorry. Ethan stepped forward to take her hand, but Victoria shoved him aside and stormed into the master bedroom. Ethan hurried after her. My queen, you said it yourself that he couldn't compare to me, that I could do whatever I wanted with his things. Victoria burst into the bedroom and flung open the closet doors. When she saw they were filled entirely with Ethan's clothes, her eyes were practically bursting with fury. Chapter 6. She rummaged through the clothes frantically. Ethan followed behind her. My queen, what are you looking for? His clothes, I'm asking you. Where are Sincere's clothes? Ethan answered cautiously. You said you didn't like them, so I got rid of them all. My queen, She suddenly slapped Ethan across the face, sending him stumbling to the ground. A look of disbelief flashed in his eyes. My queen Victoria was beside herself with rage. The clothes, get me his clothes, she screamed. Ethan was terrified. A housekeeper trembled nearby. Mr. Miller handled it. We don't know where the clothes are. Ethan lifted his head. You told me to get rid of them. I sold them. I put them all up on a second-hand app. My queen, you said you loved me. You said I could do whatever I wanted. I was just listening to you. What did I do wrong? Victoria couldn't help but laugh coldly. Yes, what was she even saying? These were her own words. How could she have forgotten? The housekeeper added timidly. Sir came by that day. He saw everything, and then he packed his things and left. When? The day he came back from his business trip. Sir saw it all, didn't say a word, just dragged his suitcase and left. He never came back. Hearing this, a sharp pain shot through Victoria's chest, as if something had been ripped out. She turned to look at Ethan and said coldly, Someone, get all of his things and throw them out. Ethan was stunned. He didn't understand why Victoria had suddenly changed her mind. My queen, did I do something wrong? I can change. I can apologize to him. Please don't make me leave, okay? Victoria sneered. What do you have to compare to him? Apologize? Sincere would consider it bad luck to even look at you. Someone get him out of my sight. Ethan and all his garbage were thrown out of the villa. Victoria looked at the empty closet and thought of the expression on my face the day I said we were getting a divorce. Fear gripped her. She started frantically dialing my number. At that moment I was in a meeting. When I answered, Victoria's trembling voice came through the line. "Sincere, come back. We need to talk." "Victoria, there's no need." I hung up and blocked her number. I had originally hoped for an amicable split, but Victoria's attitude made me realize the divorce wouldn't be that easy. It looked like we were headed to court. After the call, Leo came to see me. "It's done. As for Fairchild Corp., she still doesn't know you're the majority shareholder now." "Sincere, are you going to keep going?" "Of course, after all these years in business, you can't afford to be sentimental." I had spent years by Victoria's side, watching her decisively crush one competitor after another. I knew many of her secrets. To defeat her now, I had to make full use of my relationship with Leo. Leo raised an eyebrow. "I believe it now. Unlucky in love, lucky in business. You're better suited for the top spot. So cold and ruthless, you don't pull any punches. You've used all of Victoria's resources and connections to the absolute fullest." I couldn't help but smile. "Of course, as long as you have money. Do you ever have to worry about a shortage of women?" Leo nodded vigorously. I glanced at my phone. Victoria was trying to contact me again. Annoyed, I canceled the number for that phone and got a new one, sending it out to my clients. "By the way, your father set you up on that blind date. How did it go?" Chapter 7. Leo lit a cigarette. "It is what it is. An arranged marriage for business. We signed an agreement. We'll split in 3 years amicably." I nodded. "Leo was the only son of the Morgan family." "No, not the only one. His father had an illegitimate son. He'd rather groom that worthless bastard than hand the family fortune over to Leo, which is why Leo chose to partner with me. Once he was firmly established, I would leverage every connection the Morgan family had. For now, Leo had to rely on me. We had supported each other through tough times to get where we were today, and Leo knew that well. I had Leo find me a reliable lawyer and simultaneously leak the news of Victoria's affair. In no time, Fairchild Corp. began to fall apart from the inside. Victoria was looking for me like a madwoman, but I avoided her at every turn. One night I was in bed with a young model named Chloe when a shrill ringtone woke me. I answered, and a voice on the other end said, "Sincere, you have to come. Vicky's drunk and won't listen to anyone. She's just calling your name. Please come pick her up. I'm not her husband anymore. Don't call me again. If you need something, call Ethan Miller." I blocked that number too. On the other end of the line, Victoria looked at her friend. "What did he say?" He blocked me, and he said to call Ethan. The others in her friend group all tried to call, but I didn't answer a single one. I blocked them all." Victoria gave a bitter smile, her eyes bloodshot. She clenched her fist and slammed it onto the glass coffee table. The glass shattered, and her fist was covered in blood, scaring her friends into silence. After a long pause, one of them finally spoke up. "Vicky, you really took it too far this time. In our circle, we all play around, but you have to at least show some respect. You were out of line that day, letting that guy walk all over Sincere. That's why he's so angry. You should go back and try to make up with him." "Yeah, and I have to say, Ethan has no discretion at all. Who posts the evidence of an affair online for everyone to see? He even made a dedicated account. Now the whole world knows the entire story of your cheating." It was only then that Victoria realized what was happening. She quickly pulled out her phone and looked at her notifications. Ethan's account had been exposed, and every detail of their affair was laid bare for the public. Victoria couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Ethan Miller, he really was her downfall. She scrolled through the posts. From the very first day they met, Ethan had been broadcasting everything online. "First day meeting my queen, Vicky. She's my dream girl. Pretended to be drunk and fell into her arms. She didn't push me away. Awesome, a good start is half the battle. I heard she's been married to the old man for 5 years with no kids. Good thing I'm young and healthy. The advantage of being a young guy is a strong body and high quality contributions. Haha, mission accomplished." The comment section was a cesspool of insults. But Ethan didn't seem to care, posting day after day documenting his entire conquest of Victoria. Victoria finally realized what a scheming brat Ethan was. Every time they were together, he was taking pictures as evidence. That's why I had been so disappointed. That's why I had demanded a divorce without warning after seeing them together. I had already known everything. Ethan Miller truly wanted to destroy her. Victoria gave another bitter laugh. Someone beside her asked, "Vicky, are you okay?" She shook her head. What could be wrong? She just hated herself for being so stupid, for taking in a piece of trash like Ethan. and Ethan had shamelessly publicized every detail of their affair. Chapter 8. As the situation escalated, the company was now on the verge of collapse. Victoria knew she had made a terrible mistake. What had she ever seen in Ethan Miller? It was probably those pitiful, captivating eyes. They were exactly like Sincere's when he was younger. The first time she saw Ethan, she couldn't help but look twice. Later, when he stumbled into her arms, she knew it was deliberate, but she couldn't stop herself from holding him. That gave Ethan the opening he needed to appear by her side again and again. Eventually, she gave in. Where was Sincere then? Oh, right, Sincere was overseas, spending 3 months grinding down a client for that contract. When she heard Ethan say Sincere had methods, she subconsciously agreed. Sincere did have methods. No matter how difficult the client, he could wear them down until they had no choice but to give in. And for those 3 months, she had been reckless, passionately entangled with Ethan, thinking to herself, he's just a man. Sincere won't care. After all, in the past 5 years, she had lost count of her male companions. But she had always returned to Sincere's side in the end, and she assumed this time would be no different. But this time, she had taken it too far. The thought made Victoria desperate to see Sincere. She got up to leave. Ethan was waiting outside the bar, and when he saw her, he rushed over. "My queen, you're finally willing to see me. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that." Victoria looked at him, a vicious grin spreading across her face. Ethan saw it and grew fearful. "My queen, you really know you were wrong?" Ethan quickly replied, "I know I was wrong. As long as you forgive me, I'll do anything good. Come with me." She grabbed Ethan's hand and pulled him into the car. Ethan was ecstatic, never imagining that this would be the most miserable night of his life. By the time I received word, Victoria was already outside my door. I had bought a new luxury apartment, and since I was out early and back late every day, almost no one knew I lived here. But there was Victoria. When she saw the young model beside me, her eyes turned red. "Sincere, who is she? How could you?" The young woman Chloe wrapped her arms around me and sneered at Victoria. "So you're the former Mrs.? You look ancient." "Sincere, who is she?" I sighed and shook my head. "Why? Is it that important to you? We're divorced. We haven't signed the final papers yet. You're still my husband." She lunged to grab me, but I pushed her hand away. "Victoria, don't be such a hypocrite. Women are just for fun. In 5 years, you've had 4 or 5 men. I've had 1, and you can't handle it?" Victoria stumbled back 2 steps, a flash of regret in her eyes. "I know it's all my fault. I was completely wrong. Let's start over. Don't make me lose all respect for you. I have evidence of your affair, and the lawsuit is already in motion. If you're not willing to cooperate, I have plenty of ways to make your life a living hell." Hearing this, Victoria gave a bitter laugh. I closed the door, listening to her sobbing on the other side. A moment later, my phone buzzed with a video from Victoria. In the video, Ethan was being held down by several men. They were slapping him, breaking his hands and feet, and slashing his face. This was Victoria's sincere apology to me. "Sincere, Ethan hurt you, and I will make him pay the price. Don't worry, I'll never let him appear before you again." The woman was insane. I took a deep breath. I couldn't believe she would do that to Ethan, supposedly for me. I shook my head, said nothing, and contacted my lawyer to proceed with the lawsuit immediately. Chapter 9. The person at fault wasn't Ethan, it was her. Victoria still didn't understand the real issue, blaming Ethan instead. She was truly beyond saving. I couldn't wait any longer. Victoria was avoiding me, not answering my calls. When the day came to finalize the divorce, she didn't show up at the courthouse, trying to drag things out. She even sent friends to try and persuade me. How could I possibly forgive her? From the moment she told me I'd leave with nothing, I understood. What Victoria offered wasn't love, it was ownership. The look of contempt on her face made me see clearly what I was to her, a pet cat or dog she kept at home. Obedient, sensible, and well-behaved. But I'm a person, not a saint. I didn't want to spend my life as an ornamental fish in a villa, competing with other men for her. I wanted to realize my own worth. Even now, Victoria still wanted to keep me in the position of her husband, making me feel like I should be grateful, just for winning the spot by her side. How terrifying. Since Victoria was unwilling, my only option was to sue for divorce. Amid the public outcry, I put everything online, letting everyone witness my resolve. I wasn't afraid of a legal battle. With the support of tens of thousands of netizens, Victoria was overwhelmed. Her company and her home address were all exposed. She finally gave in. because she realized she had lost her authority within her own company. While the stock was down, I bought up a significant number of shares, and together with Leo we turned Fairchild Corp upside down. The first thing I did after the divorce was call a shareholders meeting. By the time Victoria realized what was happening, I had already become the new head of her company and had her removed from her position. When she saw me at the office, Victoria finally understood what I had been planning. She stumbled back a few steps. "Sincere, if you had just asked, I would have given you the company. Why did you have to? What you give is charity. What I took I earned with my own abilities. This has nothing to do with you. Victoria, I was willing to walk away with nothing, because I have the courage and strength to start from scratch. You don't." Looking at me then, Victoria realized she had never truly known me, that I had the power to replace her entirely. "Sincere, I never knew you were this capable. Thank you for the compliment." Ethan Miller said one thing right: I have my methods, and I have many of them. You'll get to see them all, in time. She finally understood that she had lost me for good. She nodded, turned, and staggered away. What greeted me were the congratulations of others and the fearful deference of the employees who had once looked down on me. When Victoria was cheating, they had fawned over Ethan, completely forgetting how I had protected them in the past. A new broom sweeps clean. I restructured the workplace and fired a lot of people. As long as we could all save face, everything was fine. Looking out at the clean, bright office building, I couldn't help but smile. The marriage ended quickly. With my divorce certificate and newfound wealth, I began a new chapter of growth. I stood at the pinnacle of power, looking down at the world around me. Victoria had been nothing more than a stepping stone in my life. Leo said I was cold and ruthless, but only I knew the countless efforts it took to get here. They were all just passers-by, but they were also my benefactors. I was grateful to Victoria. She was the one who taught me what pain truly felt like. Victoria did try to find me again later, cornering me in the underground parking garage. "Sincere, let's start over." Look, she held up a watch. A rare and highly sought-after model. I shook my head and held up my own wrist. "Victoria, I have money. I can buy my own watches. From the moment you decided you wanted to have his child, there was no hope for us. Don't come looking for me again." The color drained from Victoria's face. She never came to find me again. The last time I heard about her was on the news. After the divorce, Victoria had taken to drinking daily. Ethan broke into her home and, while she was drunk, turned on the gas and lit a match. A murder-suicide. The internet was filled with condemnation, saying the scumbag and the tramp got what they deserved. The only pity was for the neighbors who were affected by the fire and were now demanding compensation. How could Eleanor Fairchild possibly afford to pay? She thought of me. After Victoria's death, she came looking for me, but I refused to see her. She cornered me at the entrance to my company, shouting, "Sincere, it's all your fault. You're the jinx who killed my daughter." I looked at her and laughed coldly. "Aren't you the jinx? As a mother, you failed to teach your child right from wrong, letting her cheat and betray her marriage. And as an elder, you showed no tolerance for a junior, constantly putting me down during our marriage. That was your fault. Victoria died a tragic death because you failed to raise her properly. You can't blame me for that. Seeing me sitting in my luxury car and reprimanding her, the once arrogant mother-in-law completely broke down. She cried and screamed, but it was useless. In the end, I had security drag her away. With my own courage and strength, I had proven that I could go further and fly higher.